welcome the choir. Oh, I feel like I'm very, very loud. Yeah. How's that? Better? A little better? Okay.
It's good.
So, welcome to the choir. Rodef Shalom. Welcome to all of you in the room and online. We'll begin tonight with Ma Yafa Hayom. I believe it's on page 10.
Yes, it is. So we're going to need you all to sing along. Doesn't matter if you sing the words on the page, or the words in your heart, or sing la la la, but get in the spirit of Shabbat.
Ma Yafa Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafa Hayom, Shabbat Shalom.
That was great.
Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
One more time.
Ma Yafa Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafa Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat,
Shalom. We turn to page 2. And Laura, would you like to light candles?
Sure.
For Shabbat candle lighting, page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Turn to page 24 for Shalom Alechem, and we welcome in Shabbat messengers of peace.
You guys, do you stand for this? You sit. I think you should stand. Is that okay? Shalom Aleichem,
Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon,
Melech HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Shalom.
Hold on a second. We can try that again. We want to welcome in a few more angels. So let me take this up. We're going to do it a cappella. 2, 3, and Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet,
Malachei Elyon, Melech HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon,
Continuing on page 13, we continue Kabbalat Shabbat on page 13. Yismechu Hashamayim. It's the second paragraph down at the bottom of the page.
Okay. All right.
Yismechu Hashamayim v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umelo Hashamayim v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umelo Hashamayim v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umelo Yismechu Hashamayim v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umelo On page 19, the last phrase, Adonai Oz le'amo yitain, God will give strength to our people. Adonai Oz.
Oh, wonderful. I should have brought it. Adonai Oz, right? Adonai Oz
Le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. Adonai Oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. Shalom. Shalom. Adonai Oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. Adonai Oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo. We turn the page to L'Chadodi. We welcomed in Shabbat with light. We welcome the Shabbat messengers of peace, and now we welcome in the Shabbat presence. With L'Chadodi, we'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we get to 9, we'll rise, we'll turn towards the door as if to welcome in the Shabbat presence.
We always welcome your voices, even if you don't know the words. Tap your feet, clap your hands, whatever. Sing along on La La La. We're going to welcome in the
Shabbat presence.
welcome in the angels of Shabbat. Yai. There we go. Yai la la L'Chadodi. Yai la la Likrat Kala. Yai la la Shnei Shabbat. Yai Shabbat et Kala. Yai la la
multiferet velitilet. Kaile Laili Kakala, Kaile Lai B'nei Shabbat, Kaile Lai Kamila, Shabbat B'nei Haki, Mekor HaBeracha, Merosh Mikadem Nesucha, Sof Ma'aseh V'machshavah Tfilah.
Shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'b'tzola toch emunei am segula
Bo yihala,
yaile laile chadodi yaile laile likrat kala yaile laile b'nei Shabbat b'nei Shabbat nekamela yaile laile chadodi yaile laile likrat kala yaile laile b'nei Shabbat b'nei
Now that you're standing, please take this opportunity to wish one another Shabbat Shalom. Maybe introduce yourself to someone that you haven't met before. It's kind of
I have this music at home, but I didn't. Yes. That's what, yeah. Yeah. So maybe I'll just in the back. Right up, okay, yeah. All this. I know it's a little crazy, but so I'll do my best to try to like turn sideways so you can see, watch my mouth if you can, and then we can stay together. All right? You know, what? We all are. I found out this afternoon that this was a maybe, so I was like, well, so I don't have some of the music that ordinarily I know this. Thank you.
Just when you think you can. I know. I know.
We'll continue now on page 22 with the Psalm for Shabbat. Page 22, Psalm 92.
Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat.
Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Tov le'odol Adonai. Uzamir l'shim ha'elyon. Lehagid b'boker chastecha. we turn now to Chetzi Kaddish on page 26 to end Kabbalat Shabbat and to move us into the rest of the evening service.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Divrach rutei v'yamlich chachutei v'chayichon uvyomechon uv'chayed chol beit Yisrael bagala uv'yizman karimeru.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach, ve'olam ve'omaya yitbarach.
Yiparach v'yishabach v'yiparit romam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha.
Birchu.
V'yela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata yaviran v'yata v'yimeru.
Amen. Please rise for Baruch as you're able, page 28.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai,
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim uvitvuna meshana itim umachalif et hazmanim umesader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono b'rei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzavaot shemo Achai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam
Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Elohim, Shabbeinu u'kumeinu, Nasiach b'chukah. Nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayinu
Orech yameinu, orech yameinu, vehem regeh yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. With your permission, I'd like to just allow the choir to do it again. 1, 2, 3. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu
limadeta. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You may be seated. And we continue on page 36. B'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlektecha v'aderech v'shachbecha uvkumecha ukshartam le'ot ayadecha v'hayu letotafo b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzo beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskuru vasitem ekom mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiyot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. On page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Micha Mocha on page 40. Ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha, nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, o sefelem, nora tehilot, o sefelem, mahutecha, ra'uvanecha, Adonai Imlo, Adonai Imlo, Leolam Vaed.
V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov v'galo mi'ad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael.
Page 42, Hashkivenu.
Can you hear me? Let's start on that. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu
Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkiveni, we ask God to protect us, to care for us at night when we feel vulnerable or alone. So we ask God to spread over us the Sukkot Shalom, this extra warmth, this extra protection at night. And we also think of those in our community who are sick and in need of healing. Remember them especially during the Hashkivenu as well. So tonight we hold in our hearts Lot Ackerman, Dale Anderson, Julie Arnheim, James Barrett, Les Berkowitz, Alex Botkin, Jennifer Burnow, Joey DeLuca, Dina Damas, Joanne Mandel DeWitt, Ann Fay, Jessica Fondy, Ken Franklin, Virginia Frank, Ari Gegel, Richard Gordon, Aryamam Halalka, Naum Kaplan, Sylvia Kasparowski, Al Camper, Todd Cart, Ruth Leff, Isabel Leindecker, Judith Levison, Susan Lothar, Joanne Mandel, Beatrice Jean B.G. Morrison, Marco Masksara, Fred Oringer, Lev Podorovsky, Jonathan Robeson, Harold Bud Roth, Oliver Scheibel, Aharon Ben Shimon V'Yosefa, Nelson Shook, Bill Stein, Drew Tomasi, Helen Marie Tyree, David Wallach, Dr. Malcolm Weiss, Ralph Wise, Ruth Yar. Are there any other names from Misha Barak tonight? Misha Barak, Avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Haporei Sukkot Shalom.
Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al kol amo, ve'al
Yerushalayim, Shalom.
ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al kol amo, ve'al Yerushalayim,
Shalom. Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. On page 44, Vishamro. An acknowledgement of our covenant of Shabbat, this day of peace and relaxation and refreshment. Eternal covenant of Shabbat. Please rise. We turn now to Tefillah, which begins with a meditation on page 46. please rise in body or spirit as you are able.
Adonai,
Sifat tiftach ufia gita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, B'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Maybe Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo V'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Chaim b'chesed, Mechayei HaKol b'rachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umakayem emunato, Lishenei alfa, Michamocha b'gevurot, Umito Melech me'mito machayeh, Umasmiach Yeshua, Neman atah hayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Kadoshim b'chol yom yalucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, may be seated. On page 55 at the top of the page, we read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Now to page 57, a prayer for prayer. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'odcha levavdecha b'yirah na'avod. And on page 59, the top of the page, read together, prayer of gratitude. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha uchana'eh lahodot. And finally, the last prayer in the tefillah is for peace, great, big, and abundant peace. Shalom Rav. We follow Shalom Rav with our own silent prayer.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Yatahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Yatahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Levarech et Amam Yisrael. Bechol edochol sha'am yishlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, oseh hashalom. Adonai Suri, Adonai Suri, Vegoali, Vegoali.
This week's Torah portion, after 3 portions. So for the, oh my goodness. All right. For the last 3 weeks, for the last week Torah portions, we have been reading about Jacob and Esau and their twin brothers and the drama and the tension and the pain between them. And this week, finally, that drama comes to a conclusion, and we read about the encounter between the 2 brothers after many, many years, decades. So just to recap the story, Jacob and Esau, twin brothers, did not part on good terms. When Jacob duped his father and stole the blessing meant for Esau, Esau, understandably, became very angry and threatened to kill his brother. Rebekah, their mother, sent Jacob away to live with her brother Laban until Esau's anger abated. And when that happened, she would fetch him. She told him she'll come and get him so he could return home. So Jacob followed his mother's advice, and he fled to Laban's home, and there he married Leah and then Rachel and acquired great wealth. But Rebekah never sent word to Jacob that it was safe to come home. Rather, it was God more than 20 years later who finally tells Jacob to return to Canaan and promises to be with him. On his return trip, when Jacob comes close to Esau's territory, he sends messengers ahead to Esau, presumably to determine whether he should still be afraid. Like, what is he going to be facing now after all of these years? He hears that Esau is on his way with 400 men. And he concludes that Esau is still eager to kill him, or at the very least to do him harm. So he prepares for any and all eventualities. He prays, he bribes, he sends bribes, and he even prepares for battle. Now, there is a split in our tradition of people, of commentators, who believe that Esau probably intended to kill his brother or to do harm to him. So if you agree with that understanding, then you are in agreement with most rabbinic sages over most of our history. But if you think that maybe Jacob misunderstood, that Esau wasn't angry and the 400 men were not there as an army, then you are in the company of other, but a minority of commentators, at least traditional Jewish thinkers. It is fair to say that our ancient rabbinic sages linked Esau with all future enemies and oppressors of the Jewish people, and, as we will see in a few moments, with anti-Semitism, or which we've come to say more lately and probably more accurately Jew hatred, because there's really, it's not, anti-Semitism doesn't really work. We could have a whole conversation about that, but we're calling it what it is, Jew hatred. But first, back to the story. After a night in which Jacob wrestles with a mysterious being, the meeting of the brothers actually goes really well. Esau ran to greet Jacob. He embraced him, and falling on his neck, he kissed him, and they wept. So all the he's there are Esau. So Esau ran to greet his brother Jacob. He embraced him, he fell on his neck, and Esau kissed Jacob, and they wept. Is a kiss ever just a kiss? The word Yishakehu, he kissed him, is written in the Torah scroll with a dot above each one of the 6 letters. And if you read Torah, if you're familiar with Torah, you'll know that that is not a common thing. And it has a puncta extraordinaria, or unusual punctuation. That is, there is, of course, more than one explanation for why these dots are over the letters, but all of them, the dots over the letters, are to call our attention to the word, and then really to call our attention to the intention of the kiss. Right? So it's highlighted, so you'll say, like, wait a minute, what is that? And what kind of kiss was that? So here are a few explanations. Some scholars believe that Torah scribes put dots over words that shouldn't be there, actually. The word was put there in error, they imagine, and the dots indicated it should be removed. So in this case, if the dots are over the word and he kissed him, that would mean that there was never any kiss, right? That should have been taken out. A different theory is that dots were used by ancient scribes as a way of drawing attention to a word. This understanding leads to a couple of scenarios. Some say that the dots mean that he kissed him, but it wasn't wholehearted. It wasn't a wholehearted kiss. There was some reservation there. Some say the kiss was actually a bite. And in the Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon ben Bar Yochai says, "It is a well-known halacha that Esau hates Jacob. Nevertheless, at that moment, he became merciful and he kissed him wholeheartedly." Shimon Bar Yochai's statement is kind of shocking. The sentiment that Esau hates Jacob, that's not the shocking part. The shocking part is, why does he say that it's a well-known halacha? That phrase, "it is a well-known halacha," is unique to this passage in rabbinic literature, which means that it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it means. You can't compare it to where it's used in another place. What does it mean? We usually understand halacha as Jewish law, right? So does that mean that they're saying it's the Jewish law, it's law, that Esau hates Jacob? So it has been suggested that the sages believed, or rabbinic sages believed, that this means that if Esau hates Jacob, that Jew hatred is eternal, it is inevitable, and it is ubiquitous. That is, people everywhere and for all time who are not Jews do not like Jews. It's not only the ancient sages who, living under Roman rule, where they were oppressed, believed that Jew hatred was inevitable. The prominent 20th century American halachic authority, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, who just died in 1986, used the same phrase, that it is well known, halacha, when he answered a halachic question that he had received in a case in England. Just really briefly, Jews in England claimed that the government was discriminating against Jewish private schools and underfunding them with respect to how much money they were giving to other private schools. The British Jewish community considered suing the British government at the European Court for Human Rights. One rabbi in England turned to Rabbi Feinstein, here in the States, for his opinion about launching a lawsuit. And Rabbi Feinstein wrote that in general, he supported initiatives that could lead to more government support for Jewish education, but he feared that complaining would lead to hatred towards Jews by the government. He based his opinion on the teaching of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, 2,000 years before, saying, it is a well-known halacha that Esau hates Jacob. And then he said, and why is the word halacha relevant here? It is because just as halacha never changes, so also Esau's hatred of Jacob never changes. Even in those nations that behave well towards Jews, their hatred of Jews is actually strong. That's pretty intense. Rav Moshe Feinstein is not the only modern Jewish writer to equate Esau with all Gentiles, and therefore understand Esau hates Jacob as anti-Semitism is inherent in all Gentiles. I want to make sure everyone understands this idea that if Esau represents all people who aren't Jewish and that he hates Jacob, the Jews, that would mean that all people who aren't Jewish hate Jews. Okay? Many Jews feel this way. And while it is sometimes understandable, it is always unfortunate, and it is simply not true. It is true that there are still people who hate Jews, and our security people here in the building insist that I do not walk to my car alone when it is dark. The first time I thought they were just being nice, and then I noticed a pattern, that every time I left, they were walking me to my car. It's sad and scary and maddening that acts of Jew hatred are rising. But I have not heard that there are more people today than there were in the past who hate Jews. I don't know if the number is increasing or if the rates of the actions are increasing, but I haven't heard that there's more people in the world today who hate Jews than there were in the past. And I think it's worth investigating. We do, however, know that our government is taking the issue of Jew hatred seriously. Just this week, top Jewish leaders met with top Biden administration officials for a roundtable on anti-Semitism. By all published accounts, the Jews at the meeting were impressed with the government's willingness to explore all sources of anti-Jewish sentiment and activity. Willing to look to the left and to the right and to all areas and all different kinds from all different kinds of people, that they were willing and they were serious about it. So, do all Gentiles hate all Jews? Absolutely not. Did Esau hate Jacob? He did, and with good reason. Jacob had tricked and stolen from Esau. What about a kiss? What about that kiss? A kiss always has meaning. This one was fraught with pain and fear, with anger, with memory, probably with relief, and even possibly with affection and feelings only Jacob and Esau could know. But I would like to believe that when Jacob and Esau approached one another after decades, two brothers approaching after decades, they were both moved by the holy experience of seeing one another's face. And in fact, what does Jacob say? He says, to his brother, who he was afraid would kill him. To see your face is like seeing the face of God. It is not the duty of Jews to end Jew hatred. It's not our job. It is our obligation to teach this Torah. To see your face is like seeing the face of God. To see the face of God in one another. It won't be perfect. It won't be pretty all the time, but it will be holy. Shabbat Shalom. We continue now on page 282 with Aleinu. Please rise as you are able.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asan k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama,
Shelo sam chalkeinu
Ahem, v'gor aleinu kechol ha'monam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtacharim, u'modim,
Lifnei melech malchei hamelechim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu noteh shamayim,
Shamayim v'yoser haaretz, u'moshav yikarov hashamayim imal, u'shchinatu zo,
V'govei miromim, Hu Eloheinu He'od.
emet malkeinu v'chesulato, k'katuv b'torato, v'yadat hayom, hashevot ha'el levavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim imal, ve'al haaretz mitachat einod, v'ne'emar Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, hayom hahu v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shmo echad.
Kaddish is on page 294. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. This evening, we remember Muriel Moldorf and Zola Munter, who just died this week. Our hearts are with their families. We also remember those who died within the last 30 days, Thomas Chisholm, Erwin Kotofsky, Eileen Ruttenberg, Arnold Schlisserman, and Lois Unell. We remember those whose yahrzeit we observe this week, this Shabbat, those who died at this season in years past: Joey Apter, Nettie Brody, Harry Coffey, Beatrice Kahn, Simeon Friedberg, Beatrice Galanter, Frida Gottlieb, Ellen Hirschberg, Irene Jacob, Charlotte Lang, Esther Lehman, Dorothy D. Svarty, Fania Ledachevsky, Hyman Mandel, Leonard Morris, Lisa Morrison, Robert Posner, Joseph Recht, Diane Reichblum, Arnold L. Roberts, Donald G. Schimmel, Norman Schlesinger, Julia Svarty, Jerry T. Silverman, Toby Spindell, Dorothy Sternberg, Eileen K. Waldman, Sherman Weiss, Lillian Wolfson, Harry Yamron. Are there any other names for Kaddish tonight?
Yesterday was the yard site of John Lennon, and an incredible genius with so many gifts, cut down by a publicity hound named Mark Allen Chapman. He lives on, though, with his music, through his music.
Zichronam livracha, may all their memories be for blessing. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayachon v'yamechon. V'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. B'galau v'zman kari v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabbah mavarach leolam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasa. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'irchu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tishbechata v'nechamata. Damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Huya seh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
You may be seated.
Oh, shalom bimromav, uyas shalom. Alleluia, kol Yisrael, be'imru, amen. In just a moment, we will conclude our service with Adon Olam on page 321. We take this opportunity to thank Luke for running our sound and our video, and to thank Rodef Shalom. You're still standing, which is amazing in lots of ways. Thank you for your hearts and your souls and your courage. And for your faith in one another and in Laura. Laura, thank you so much. Cantor Berman. In case you didn't know, Cantor Berman just stepped in tonight to lead all of us, and so we are very, very grateful. Hopefully it felt calm enough to everybody. But what was I going to say? I want to thank Don McGann, who also prepared the choir. Each one worked individually so beautifully, and together they all helped to add to the spirit of tonight.
So I'd also, maybe you ought to sit down for a minute, because two of you are going to come up, Karen and Eric, to say a couple of words. Here.
Oh, thanks. Do you want to speak first?
Hi, I'm Eric. Whoop. Hi, I'm Eric Schaefer. You can hear me without this.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Cantor, we're really, really grateful to you. Some of you may have noticed that Rodef Shalom was a little disorganized at times. Our accompanist didn't make it tonight, and Cantor, you pulled us through, I think.
Thank you.
On the subject of cantors, many of you have seen that the board has determined that we should have a search for an ordained cantor. First time that we'll do that here at Rodef Shalom. A committee has been appointed to do that. Karen and I are the co-chairs of the committee, and at the ONEG after services tonight, we would love to have an opportunity to talk to you about what the committee's doing, and to also hear from you and get your thoughts on what we ought to be doing.
And I wanted to mention that there are a couple of other people from the committee here. I saw Killian, if you would stand up, and Nancy Rosenthal is here. So Killian Spitz-Cohen and Nancy Rosenthal are also on the committee with some others, but they're here tonight. Particularly, we thought that we would be at the ONEG after, in case. Please find one of us. Ask us your questions. Tell us your issues. We're happy to hear it. And this is really just a kickoff of the process that we'll be having to be able to engage the congregation in this incredibly important endeavor. Thank you.
So we're going to be gathering at the owning immediately following services. You have an opportunity to talk to members of the search committee. Please support the COSA Holiday Toy Drive, which is now through Sunday, and then the toys will be delivered on Monday. I want to thank the COSA committee for all the efforts they are making towards, doing our little bit to make the world a little bit brighter, a little bit repaired, a little bit fixed. Thank you. I don't think I had anything else.
Okay.
Oh, no, I did. I wanted to say Nisiat Tova, goodbye, Lehitraot, to Rabbi Danny Schiff, who is going to be returning to Israel in a couple of days. He's been here for 3 months, and I guess that means 3 months in Israel and then another 3 months back here. So we really look forward to seeing you again in the spring, and thank you for being with us these last 3 months, especially for last Sunday, for teaching us, but really pretty much for just always being here and being so supportive and such a nice member of the community. Adon Olam, page 321.
And more kudos to Rodef Shalom. As Rabbi Henry said, I found myself in a position where I thought, I'll try to play along with them, but actually I think they sound so good on their own that when I lay off and just let them sing a cappella, right, without accompaniment, their voices and their spirit really comes through. So we'll invite, sometimes less is more, right?
Kedushas on page 5. I'll do it for you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'e kodesh, secher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Tivanu v'charta, v'yodanu kidashta, mikol hamim, Shabbat kodecha, Yahava u'ratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Chaim.
Chaim.
That's not great. It's too bad it's graped. Please come and get a piece of challah. Bring your prayer book if you would. Return it to the table on the outside and stay to have a conversation with someone on the search committee or just with one another. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.